Learn English through stories. Intermediate English. The Secret Garden. Long ago, in a cold, lonely house in England, a locked garden hid behind thick ivy. No one had entered it for 10 years. Some said it was forgotten. Others whispered it was cursed. But one curious girl was about to find the key. A lonely new home. Mary Lennox was a sour, sickly girl who lived in India. When her parents died, she was sent to England to live with her uncle, Mr. Craven, in his big, lonely house on the moor. She was not used to being alone and found the house, Misselthwaite Manor, to be a dreary and unwelcoming place. The Tale of a Garden. A friendly housemaid named Martha told Mary stories to try and cheer her up. One story was about a secret garden that had been locked up for 10 years, ever since Mr. Craven's wife, Lilias, had died there. No one had the key, and no one was allowed inside. Mary's curiosity was piqued. Searching for the secret. Mary began to explore the grounds of the manor. She spent her days wandering through the other gardens, but her thoughts always returned to the secret one. She searched for the hidden door and the lost key, hoping to unlock the mystery. The fresh air and exercise began to bring a bit of colour to her cheeks. The Robin's Key. One day, while following a friendly robin, Mary noticed something half buried in the soil. It was an old rusty key. She knew at once what it must be for. Now, all she had to do was find the door. The little robin seemed to be helping her, chirping excitedly from a nearby ivy-covered wall. The hidden door. Pushing aside the thick ivy, Mary found a small wooden door hidden in the wall. With a trembling hand, she put the key in the lock. It was stiff, but with a great effort, it turned. The door creaked open, and Mary stepped inside, her heart pounding with excitement and a little bit of fear. A wild, forgotten place. The garden was a wild, tangled mess. It was full of dead roses and overgrown vines, but Mary could see that it had once been beautiful. She felt a strange sense of ownership and decided then and there that she would bring it back to life. It would be her secret, a place all her own. Mary meets Dickon. Mary asked Martha for some gardening tools. Martha was surprised but pleased to see Mary taking an interest in something. She sent her brother, Dickon, to bring Mary some small tools and seeds. Dickon was a boy who loved the outdoors and could charm any animal. He was kind and gentle. Friends in the garden. When Dickon arrived, he and Mary became fast friends. He knew all about plants and animals and was happy to help Mary with her secret garden. He showed her which plants were weeds and which were sleeping flowers waiting to bloom. He brought his animal friends, a fox, a crow, and squirrels, with him. Bringing life back. Together they worked day after day, clearing away the dead wood and pulling up the weeds. Slowly but surely, the garden began to change. Tiny green shoots pushed their way through the soil, and the rose bushes began to look healthier. The secret garden was coming back to life, and so was Mary. The Cry in the Manor. One rainy day, Mary heard crying coming from a distant room in the manor. She followed the sound and discovered a hidden bedroom. In the bed was a boy about her age, with a pale face and a fretful expression. He told her his name was Colin and that he was going to die. Meeting Colin. Colin was Mr. Craven's son, but he had been kept hidden away because he was sickly. He was just as spoiled and lonely as Mary had been. Mary told him about the secret garden, and a spark of interest lit up his eyes. He wanted to see it more than anything. A secret journey. Mary and Dickon decided to take Colin to the garden. It was a big secret, and they had to be very careful not to be seen. They bundled Colin into a wheelchair and, with great effort, managed to get him outside and through the hidden door. The fresh air and sunshine felt wonderful to him. Colin's first garden day. Colin was amazed by the garden. He had never been in a real garden before. The sight of the budding flowers and the sound of the birds singing filled him with a new sense of hope. He began to believe that maybe he wasn't going to die after all. He wanted to come back every day. Believing in magic. The children spent every sunny day in the garden. Dickon taught them about magic, the life force in all things. Colin began to feel stronger. He started to believe in the magic and in himself. He was determined to get well and surprise his father. Colin stands again. One afternoon, as Colin was sitting in his chair, he declared that he was going to try and stand. With Mary and Dickon on either side of him, he slowly, shakily pushed himself up. He stood on his own 2 feet for the first time in years. They were all overjoyed. Walking among roses. Colin practiced walking every day in the secret garden. He grew stronger and stronger, and the colour returned to his cheeks. The 3 friends laughed and played among the flowers, their friendship as vibrant as the blooming roses. The garden had worked its magic on all of them. Keeping the secret. They decided to keep Colin's recovery a secret. They wanted to surprise his father, Mr. Craven, who was travelling abroad. They imagined the look on his face when he saw his son, not as a sickly invalid, but as a healthy, happy boy. The anticipation was almost as exciting as the secret itself. A letter of hope. While Mr. Craven was away, he received a letter from Martha's mother, Susan Sowerby. She hinted that things were better at Misselthwaite and that he should come home. He felt a strange pull, a feeling of hope he hadn't experienced in a long time, and decided to return at once. Mr. Craven returns. When Mr. Craven arrived back at the manor, the house felt different, lighter. He walked towards the secret garden, drawn by an instinct he couldn't explain. He hadn't been there since his wife's death. He stood before the locked door, his heart full of old sorrows. Drawn to the garden. Suddenly, he heard the sound of laughter coming from inside the garden. It was a sound that hadn't been heard at Misselthwaite Manor for a very long time. He was puzzled and a little startled. Who could possibly be in his wife's locked garden? He had to find out. Laughter behind the door. Just as he reached for the handle, the door flew open, and a boy came running out, nearly knocking him over. The boy was laughing, his face flushed with health and happiness. Mr. Craven stared in disbelief. It was his son, Colin. He was not only walking, he was running. A miracle run. "Father!" Colin cried, throwing his arms around his father's legs. Mr. Craven knelt and held his son, tears streaming down his face. He couldn't believe his eyes. His son, whom he had thought was a permanent invalid, was strong and vibrant. It was a miracle. Father and son reunited. Mary and Dickon came out of the garden smiling. Mr. Craven looked from his son to the 2 children, and then to the beautiful, blooming garden behind them. He finally understood. The garden and the friendship of these children had healed his son and brought life back to his home. Father and son reunited. The secret garden was a secret no more. It became a place of joy and laughter for the whole family. The magic of the garden had not only healed a sickly boy and a lonely girl, but it had also mended a broken heart and brought a family back together again. Thanks for watching The Secret Garden. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share for more fun English lessons.